Welcome to this month's installment of Brass Chats, brought to you by Monster Oil. What is this? 21 year?
Thomas Gansch, it is a pleasure, sir, to finally meet you in person.
Nice to meet you,
I've
too.
been a fan a long time. But I've always been interested in you and Minato, of course, but for a lot of reasons. And I think it's true for a lot of people as well. So I'd love to know how you developed your character / your trumpet playing to become the Thomas Gansch that we all know and love. How's that for a first question?
Wow, that's incredible.
I wrote the whole thing down.
A great first question. Up to this question, I didn't know that everybody loved me.
I think they do.
Wow.
I think a lot of people love you.
It's so humbling. Feels so warm.
Well, how about this? Can you talk about the beginnings of Mnozil Brass? Let's start there.
Oh yeah. I just started studying the trumpet in Vienna, and I started when I was 15, like right after the first possibility after school. I took and went to study trumpet. And when you studied in the early 90s, everybody was still smoking in the university, so we always met after, when we did breaks, met at the coffee machine and had a smoke and had a chat. And so that's how I met like Wilfried, the tuba player, and the first bunch of guys who were in the band. And we, on the other side of the street from the university, there was this pub called Mnozil, which is actually a Czech name. Actually, it's pronounced Mnozil, but in Vienna everybody says Mnozil. Americans say Mnozil, and
Mnozil Brass.
the Brits say Mnozil. So you can choose of a wide variety of pronunciations of that name. But however, in this pub, once a month there was a kind of a jam session for folk music, traditional folk music, and we all started out playing on the countryside in wind bands. And so we all had kind of the same stock of standards, like marches, polkas, waltzes, stuff like that. And so we went there and started to play these things. And we started our business model right away. That's the same today, which is the better we would entertain the audience, the more we would get to drink. And this pretty much is the secret of our success.
I heard stories. I'm not sure if it was from one of your behind-the-scenes DVDs or not, but at the Mnozil pub, they would pay you beer and food for you guys to play up in the balcony, right? I thought I saw pictures of you guys up in like a...
It was actually a fridge. It was a giant refrigerator.
You were sitting on top of a fridge?
Yes, it was the only space we had.
Was that while you were at school? Like at the...
Not at the same time.
Okay. Well, yeah.
It was always on a Thursday, like once a month during school season.
Yeah.
And everybody, all the brass players would go there and just get shit-faced completely. And we would play all night. Usually our endurance would be finished after like 3 or 4 tunes, but we wouldn't stop. And people were enthusiastic right away. I have old tapes. There used to be an old man. He always recorded with a Sony professional tape recorder. And I listened to one of these tapes, and we play awful. It's ugly. It's terrible. We played Just a Closer Walk with Fee.
Okay.
Completely drunk and terrible, and no chops anymore. And we make the last chord, and nobody can go up. No high notes are coming out, and it's terrible. And then you hear the crowd go, yes! So it was a very orgiastic experience from the start, right from the go.
So can you describe the first official Mnozil Brass program? What was the first? Or it was just a long progression?
It happened step by step. We never planned to have this thing.
Yeah.
When I started the group, I was 16, and it had no name We were just meeting at this Stammtisch, it was called, and playing every month. And then after like half a year, we had our first gig outside this pub, because it was always word of mouth.
Sure.
So we got to this first gig, and right there on the 23rd of January 93, the host asked us right before we played, "What's your name?" So I said, Mnozil Brass, because that's what we were, and that's what we are. And this was the first gig, and then we started. From there, we played weddings and funerals, and
I'm sorry, Minato Brass played funerals?
we played everything. We played in jail. Yeah, we did the craziest shit for like 5 years, 6 years before we even went on a stage and had a show. We had gigs we would play for 7, 8, 10 hours.
Good God.
We were exactly. Good God. Exactly. In the beginning we were 5, and like after 3, 4 years we added another trumpet and another trombone. So since 96 we are the septet that we remain to
well,
be.
I can tell you the first time I saw you, it was when you sang Bohemian Rhapsody in your show 7. And I remember I was in youth orchestra. I was 15 at the time, and between rehearsal, or like we had a break in rehearsal, we were huddled around this horrible old computer, but we're like, "You guys got to see this brass group," and that was the first time. And then from then on, it's just like more and more videos started to pop up online, and I feel, at least over here, that's how we all found out who you guys were.
Yeah,
and
YouTube helped us, of course, a lot to spread the word around the world.
Yeah.
The great thing is that we usually don't use any words, so we can go anywhere where there are brass players.
By design.
And they are everywhere. So.
By design, right? I mean, you do that on purpose.
No, we also did like theatrical shows where we had a lot of lyrics and tell a story and stuff, but that's a different cup of tea.
Yeah.
However, from there it took a long time till we even went onto a stage and tried to do a whole show. I think the first one was in '97, and this was pure chaos. It was like 7 people doing 7 jokes at the same time, all the time, and then there was this. But it was fun, of course. It always was fun. We always wanted to have fun, and this actor Bernd Jeschek is his name. He saw us, and he came up to us and said, "I want to work with you. I want to do something with you," and then we prepared a first show together. It was called Smoke in 2000, I guess. This was the show where we did Bohemian Rhapsody for the first time. And he helped us to find a way to like bring it down, and to try to develop 7 different characters. And since then, we pretty much do it in that way, that we prepare a show. We write music, we bring music, and then we put it together and try to find a narrative through it.
Yeah, sure. I need to follow my questions because I only got to my first question. Otherwise, I'm just going to talk to you the whole time. And
isn't that a very nice idea to just talk to each other nowadays?
I feel like my life just isn't together, Thomas.
Yeah.
Can I tell you my problems?
Yeah, please. You don't have any.
I don't know.
Can't think of any problems.
I have lots of problems.
Come on.
When you were growing up in Austria, what age did you start playing the trumpet?
I really started to learn the trumpet when I was 8.
Did you?
Before I always had a little horn, because we are a musician's family. So my father was conducting the local brass band, and I always had like a horn to run along with the brass band and go. So.
Well, I guess when I watch you perform and watch you play, it's clear that the trumpet is an extension of you, your personality. At least that's my perception of it. So I guess I want to know when did that really happen for you? Because I mean, obviously when you're 8, you probably loved playing, but maybe it was an extension when you're 8 of your body, or at least to the way it is now. So when did you kind of really start to gain control of the instrument and make it your own? And when did that happen?
The day before yesterday. I had a pretty good night, but besides that, the trumpet took over. No.
Well, when did you start loving it, I guess, is the question.
That's a good question. just recently, I guess.
Really?
No. When I was 21, I started to love it because my story starts much earlier because I have this older brother. He's a half brother and he's 23 years older, and he was first trumpet player with Vienna Philharmonic, and he is like one of the greatest players ever.
We're talking
And
about
so
Hans Gansch. You guys are brothers. Yeah.
It's Hans Gansch. Hans Gansch.
For those who may not know. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I used to hear this ideal sound since when I was a baby. So when he came around and he practiced, I always heard that, and I always knew this is how it's supposed to sound. And since I was little, everybody said, Thomas, he's getting even better than Hans. He's So I had absolutely no pressure.
Yeah, right.
And then I learned with my father, which was terrible because there was not a single lesson when I didn't run up to mommy crying. And when I was 15, they sent me to Vienna, and the plan was that I will become the next Vienna Philharmonic trumpet player. That was the plan of my whole family, even my brother. Everybody said that to me. That's what you're going to do, and it's going to be no problem. And
it's going to be no problem.
This, of course, went not as planned. So I studied classical trumpet, and I learned a lot of things that I hadn't heard of before, like being afraid and being pointed at, like, the brother of Conch is coming. That's the brother of Conch. So everybody expected something from me, which was really hard to overcome. And first of all, I had problems with my playing. After a few years, I had to completely restart. I went to another teacher. I tried a lot of things to pull myself out of there. And the other thing I learned, even if everything worked out really well, I couldn't play better than my brother. I had to find my own stuff. This was not going to make me happy in any way. So I studied trumpet and worked on a classical career till I was 21. And when I was 21, I did one audition, which I did not win, but at this audition I saw, okay, I know how this works and I can do it. And I'm 21 now. And back then there was an age limit. If you could make an audition till you were 35.
Oh, wow.
So I know I'm 21. I know how it works. I know what I have to do to be able to compete in these things. And now I'm going to do what I want. And then I started to play jazz. So my love was always jazz when since I was 12 or 13.
You always listened to it.
I heard Dizzy Gillespie. I saw Dizzy Gillespie on TV, and that pretty much changed my everything. And the other thing was Queen. I heard Queen for the first time. That also was like, what's that? So, and then I started to go to clubs and play jam sessions, and then very, very quickly I became Thomas Gansch. And I wasn't the brother of Hans anymore, because I left that classical realm and I was taken for who I was. So I was very fast, very happy to be where I am. And all those problems went away.
Okay, so now that we know kind of like where you come from and who you are, Thomas, can you talk about your general approach to actually playing the instrument, like kind of nuts and bolts type talk? Like what does playing the trumpet feel like to you? How does it work to Thomas Gansch? Like describe the ideal playing situation, I suppose.
Playing situations are always changing. First, it's a lot of work, always work, every day, no exceptions. Just once a year in summer, when the kids have no school and I'm on a vacation, I grant my family 2 weeks without the trumpet. But besides that, I'm always working every day. And if I say I do not practice, or I did not practice today, I at least practiced 2 hours and did some basics. So it's work.
So 2 hours is a bad day. 2 hours of practice.
No, it's not a bad day. It's like the minimum.
Or minimum,
I
yeah.
I
right.
have to do.
Sure.
And I mean, I don't do more than 3.5, 4 hours. That's the max. But this is the amount of practicing I do always. I'm not one of the lucky people who can just play great when he had a vacation.
By the way, who's an example of that?
James Morrison.
He can play great with after a vacation?
Yeah. No, he plays
Well,
all the time
yes.
great. And another guy, Andy Haderer, he's a lead trumpet player in the WDR big band in Germany. He's a type of guy, he plays without pressure, and I heard him several times coming home from a vacation, playing a big band gig on the first trumpet and getting stronger and stronger and stronger on the way. But I have to admit, on the other side, both guys also play much better when they are practicing every day. So, by the way, Rappa is the third one. He's like that too. I heard him
That
too
guy.
after vacation, because he's operating with air. Makes it
Yeah.
seem so simple.
I don't. What a jerk, by the way. His videos online, he's just like, no, listen. Now he's working with, I think her name is Natalie Dungy, a young girl.
Yeah.
And he's like, just you let the air float you to a double C.
Yes, yes.
And then she kind of plays a double C. And she's 8 years old, and it's like, this is like not.
Because this
really-
is the most important thing in life, to be able to play a double high C. And nothing else matters
You know-
anymore.
Now
Then you
Yeah.
are fulfilled. Then you have done your.
you plateau because
purpose.
it's the only option. You can't.
Yeah.
You have to plateau.
If you can't play a double high C,
I think
screw you.
we.
Who needs you? You're nothing. Nothing.
Language.
That's inappropriate.
I said screw you.
I know.
I didn't say through you. Shut the front door.
we
This
asked.
is for educational purpose.
That's what we tell people.
Yes,
Anyway,
I know.
yeah.
I know.
We asked Arturo high notes or low notes, and he said pretty notes.
He was full of it.
Come on, Arturo.
Great wisdom.
Come on,
Great wisdom. Great wisdom. What a wise man.
Okay.
Actually, okay. I can. Whatever you play, it has to have some meaning. If you don't tell a story when you're playing, nobody will go and listen to it. That's the most important thing in music is communication. I communicate with my band members and we communicate with the audience. And as long as you tell something, you have something to tell, everything is fine. If you're just playing notes, if you play 500 double high Cs without any meaning, it makes no sense.
I'd pay to see that.
500 double ICs.
Would you pay to see it several times or just once?
That's a good question.
And wouldn't you leave
Yeah.
after 5 minutes?
Probably
Maybe
not.
the second time through, I would leave. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does start to turn into like an ambulance.
And on the other hand, you can listen to like a Chet Baker ballad 500 times without getting bored at all. So
I'm gonna remember that line. Would
because
you-
back to your question,
Yes.
what's trumpet playing for me?
Yeah. Yes.
How it
yes.
works? I see it for myself. I see it as a system, and this system I like to compare to an injection. Like, what's the part here? What do you call it? Diaphragm.
Diaphragm,
The
yeah.
diaphragm. It's like the thumb that pushes the liquid, which is the air, through the body, and here's the needle.
A tiny hole at the end.
Yes, that's what it is. That's what it feels like. at least.
You know who else described that? Described it quite similar to your exact. What's the word? The E word. Oh yeah, yeah. Description is Doc Severinsen. It's like if you have a hose, it's coming out of the hose just like with a hole in the end, and you take your thumb, and
Yes.
you squeeze it out just a tiny little bit. He says that's how you play high notes.
Yeah.
Is you squirt the water further.
Yeah.
So like you cover up more of the hole, make this
Yeah.
hole small. Anyway, similar.
But there are as many systems as there are players. So I'm not a big fan of people who say, I know how it works, come to me. Because I have my very specific personal way of playing, and I cannot tell you to do the same because it works for me. for you something else might work. So
We hear a lot of great trumpet players say that. Chris Martin comes to mind. He said he was like, he always prefaced it, well, like, but first, this is what I did. That's what I would say. This is what I did.
yeah.
You know, and that's important. That is important. So, a lot of the times when you do these Mnozil shows, you have the trumpet on your face for extended periods of time. Let's call it playing demanding music endurance-wise. At least that's my perception of it as a trumpet player. And I guess I want to know how the hell you do it. Is it reps? Is it like repetitions?
No,
Is it
it's
efficiency? Clever arranging?
it's a combination of all of these things. But on top of that, it's all of these things. You put it in a bag, and this bag is called routine or like experience. You know, you grow as you live along those things. Efficiency is very important, and I just talked to a player yesterday who has a problem because his half face was paralyzed, and he's slowly coming back. And I told him, don't give up, because from every crisis I had, I got much stronger because the efficiency was growing. Every time I really had a problem playing, I came out stronger than before because I learned something. For example, when we started to play, or the show 7, you know that show.
Yes.
That show premiered in a hall in Vienna with 700 seats, and at the time it was exactly right. It was the right place to play. We came back to the same hall a few years later, maybe 3-4 years later, and played there, and it was just too small because we had grown into bigger halls, and we were used to play bigger halls. And
So you're playing loud with you guys?
no,
you were stronger. Is that
We
what you
got
mean?
stronger and
Yeah.
stronger. I think these are not things you can train at home and then go and perform. You cannot train at home a Knotzil show when you've never done one, and then you go to a big concert hall and play without amplification really loud. You will die after like 15 minutes because you can't handle it. You have to learn it as you go along.
Well, I mean, like, for example, Joel and I, we listened to the Florentiner. What's the name of that program?
You mean the La Crème de la Crème?
That one, yes.
Yeah, das
Where you-
Gelbe vom Ei.
Where you do
The
Marianella
yellow
Overture.
of the egg.
I have so many
The
questions.
cream of the crop in English, I guess.
I know
La
that.
crème de la crème.
I know that.
Yeah.
It's French.
Ah, I'm sorry.
I'm offended.
You are French?
No, I'm just offended.
This is the
I'm just-
beginning of a beautiful French-ip.
Straight up white.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm the white guy, or is he the white guy?
No, that's my favorite line so far. Is you're
so
French?
white.
No, I'm offended.
It's one thing, you know how to play a Minato concert, Mnozil, and how do you prepare yourself before a show? Is it just a short, quick warm-up because you've done so much prep work before a tour that you just need to kind of stay fresh?
No, I do. My personal strategy would be to get up in the morning and do a long warm-up and a little practice, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
So maybe 1 hour tops, trumpet in the morning, and then I'm prepared for the day. And after the show, I decide, maybe if I need it, if I think I need it, I go back to the hotel room and play like half an hour long notes. But at the moment with this show, I think I don't need it. Depends.
Nice, good. Well, so before a show, you just do a quick warm-up because you played in the morning. You just
Yeah. No, when I'm warmed up for the day.
There you go. That's
But
the answer.
no, warm-up is for me the most important part because it helps to center myself, and it doesn't matter if I have a bad day or a good day. In the end of the long warm-up session, I know where I'm standing and I can rely what is there.
What do you do in your warm up? Just curious. What's it centered
It's
around?
a wild mix of things. Some pedal tones, some lip flex, some tonguing, little Clark. Depends.
You mix it up. And
Yeah, I have a very specific thing put together for myself. Some made up studies and some studies everybody plays, or variations of Clark.
how do you feel when you're done with your practice routine? Do you feel good?
With my what?
When
With
your
the
morning
practice
practice routine, it takes about an hour, you said?
Yeah.
How do you feel when you're done with that? How do you?
I'm good because
how's your face feel?
I know I'm ready then for the day, whatever comes.
The reason I asked is because Tom back here, not this Tom, he showed me his routine he's been doing lately, and I felt amazing after I did it.
Yeah.
And I've been so married to like something I've been doing for a long time, about an hour, and I'd never feel great at the end of it. I was like, well, wait a second, maybe I'm supposed to feel good after my practice routine. He helped me realize that. So anyway,
I don't know.
this isn't related to you. I'm just sharing my problems.
That's okay. I'm there for you if you need me.
Whoa, careful.
Yeah.
The camera's rolling. I'm offended.
You're offended again. Man, I'm not gay or something. Have you never had a man touch you?
Not like that. I don't think we can say that.
It's for educational reasons.
Relax, Chris.
How did you and Mark Gould meet? It's not very serious. I just want to know
I
how
can
you
give you a
met
very
Mark.
serious answer to that question.
Well, the reason I ask is because one of my favorite videos of all time on the internet is the Petrushka video, Pink Baby Monster Petrushka video. I have to know who wrote that. Was that a combination, right? Did you guys write that together?
There was no writing. We just.
How was improv?
That was pretty much. No, I think he had planned it out. But there was a lot of improv happening. So.
That was quite a good video. There's no reason for me asking you that. I was just curious.
I remember that in the beginning, the video it was allowed to make comments.
Oh yeah, like in the.
And
it
it got dirty. People were offended really badly.
Can you comment on it now, or
no,
did you?
No. Yeah, I
Oh,
think
it's
it's
cut
been
off.
cancelled for years.
Oh no!
You cannot comment on the video.
Oh, that's a good one. That was a classic in college.
But how we met? I said, "Hi, I'm Thomas." He said, "Hi, I'm Mark." That's how we met.
He talked about what it's like when he hangs out with you.
I
He
know.
said you guys just hang out and listen to music.
Yes.
It's,
We talk. We talk music and trumpet and life, and we have a good life trumpet balance.
I don't know what I was shocked when I heard that a little bit. I don't know why. I guess it's because I just assumed that like people who have done it with trumpet before, like they're just like they don't listen to music. And then we started doing these interviews, and one by one, we realized that everybody still listens to lots of music. The best people listen to lots of music all the time.
Mhm.
We sat down with Chris. He pulled up his phone. Like the last thing he listened to was Phil Smith. He showed us. I was like, we were kind of like, okay, whatever, man. And then he actually pulled out his phone, showed us. So, I guess, can you talk about the importance of listening to music and understanding what are the benefits, I suppose, to listening, and then what can you do with that?
Music is a universal language, and with the language of music, you can reach parts of the heart and the body that you can't when you're having a conversation in words. So, I love to listen to good music of any kind, and in music there are no borders. For me, it's just two kinds of music. Like Alec said, it's good kind and the other kind. And last thing I was listening to was Pat Metheny, for example. You know, Secret Story, that album.
I don't.
It's
I don't know much about it. I should.
one of the greatest records there is, I think. Fantastic. There's no trumpet on it. Oh, there is one. There's one. It's an orchestra part, but it's also something I really love about my job. I can go around the world and I can reach people who were just shouting at me on Facebook, but I can who have a politically, they are on a completely other side of the spectrum, but I can reach them with music, and I can maybe touch something, open up, and make somebody think about something. It's music. I mean, it's the greatest thing. It's like the music is the only. In music, it's possible sometimes to completely be one with the universe, like a moment where there are no questions about life and death or anything. Everything's clear and everything's good. That happens sometimes in music.
Yeah, that moment when you're completely 100% captivated. You're
Yes.
like you're
Yes.
absorbed.
I only know this from music or when a child is born. So these are the two, family and music. That's the two things that make the most sense in life to me.
Well, to take it a step further, are there influences like Pat Metheny? Can you give us a specific example of a piece of music or an artist, whatever they're involved in, and how it's affected your trumpet playing specifically? So, like a non-trumpet player, can you describe how a non-trumpet player may have affected your trumpet approach?
My trumpet approach.
Like, I guess
Hard
your
to say.
musicianship.
I always try to. I always have an ideal sound that I want to sound like this. When I play this part, I want to sound as much as possible like Maynard, or here I want to sound as much as possible like a cello player, or here I want to sound like this, or here I want to sound like that. And I'm chasing these ideal sounds. I want to reproduce them. I want to sound as good as possible. Find the perfect sound for the perfect the perfect match of sound for the music. But it's a constant influence that I have from. Like we play this piece from Gustav Mahler, Ich bin der Welt abhanden gekommen. It's like the closest you can get to death and to reach into another world. It's crazy. It may sound crazy, but whenever we play that piece, I can almost feel like people that died. I can like reach out to them. It's incredible. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, right.
But it's real. It's real. It's a. Maybe it's the music. Maybe it's the key to cosmic understanding. Like maths, music is like a universal language of the universe, I guess.
Can you talk about your general approach to improvisation and lead trumpet playing? Just kind of everything. I guess let's start with improvisation. Yeah.
Improvisation is something that's hard to do for a classical trained musician, because as a classical musician you are used to studying something very hard, very long, and then you go and you play it on stage and you reproduce it as well as possible. In the best case scenario, it's perfect. You make no mistakes. But jazz doesn't work that way. You cannot prepare a great solo and then perform it. I mean, you can do that, but then it's not improvisation. So I remember very well when I was studying and I was sitting at home in my kitchen playing Eversold CDs, and I thought, man, I'm good. Woo, 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 yeah, I'm sure I could kill. And then I went to the first jam session, and I went there and blank, all was gone. And then I stood up there and I had to fail and I had to accept it. That's the tricky part. You have to allow yourself to make mistakes, and you have to accept them as part of yourself. And then you can start to improvise. It's you know you have to go on stage and drop your pants and fire a rocket.
So it's, I mean, when you I get, well, I mean, because you earlier you said when you've listened to jazz your whole life, even though you studied, well, almost your whole life, but even though you studied classical trumpet up until the age of 20, 21, you were saying. So during that time period, were you listening? You were still listening to a lot of jazz.
Oh yeah.
Oh, your whole trumpet
yeah.
musician life. So you had lots of influences.
Oh man.
Can you name a couple of your favorite, if you will?
Okay, how much time do we have?
Just keep going.
No, it started with Dizzy. I have a special place in my heart for the happy people, like Clark Terry and Dizzy. They are very, very special because they always made the audience feel good, and they seem to have fun and to love what they're doing. That doesn't mean that I love Miles Davis as well, but he was not especially the funny guy.
Sure.
Then of course Wynton is a huge influence because for my money he's the best trumpet player that ever lived, that ever walked this planet. Sorry to all the other guys. I've never heard anybody else being able to do what he does, because he can pick up the horn and just do whatever he wants. And this is always leaves me stunned. And not only his playing, but also his writing were a big influence to me. And the greatest jazz players for me on the trumpet are Lee Morgan and Freddie Hubbard. Lee Morgan, I consider them to play kind of mean, and I love that. Lee Morgan, you can hear many times he's going for it, although the chops don't want him to go there, but he has to go there because the music commands it. I love that. It's full of fire. Lee Morgan and Freddie Hubbard especially were full on fire when they played. And of course I love to listen to the great lead players. Oh my God. I mean, Conrad Gozo, Snooky Young, Al Pacino, Bobby Shue, Maynard. Maynard's sound is unmatched.
Al Pacino?
Yeah.
Al Pacino.
Porcino.
You don't know Al
Al
Pacino?
I think you said Al Pacino, the famous actor.
No, El Cappuccino. No, Al Pacino.
Maynard, Al Pacino.
Maynard, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Mimi Rogers, and Carrie Fisher. Of course, Lou Stoloff was a big influence on me. I remember buying all Lou Stoloff CDs that I was able to get in Vienna. It was like I had a pile of Lou Stoloff CDs.
Yeah, that's what it comes
and
down
a
to.
lot to old music. I love Bix and of course Louis Armstrong. Oh God, Louis Armstrong. Oh God, I forgot the king. There's so many.
How do you teach a young player just to play jazz? That's a great question.
I don't think that it's possible to teach playing jazz because it's something you have to do. You cannot prepare it and then you have to do it. You have to live it. You have to go and meet other musicians. You have to play with other musicians all the time. You have to hang with them, travel with them, talk to them, and suck everything in you find and work it into your own cooking, you know. It's a very hard thing to transport to a student.
But what would you
I
say?
always would say play along the melody. So try to, if you play a song, have the melody run through your head all the time and try to play around the melody. Don't play as many notes as possible and as all the changes, right? No, try to tell a story. Tell a story. That's the most important thing, I think.
Jazzer?
Why are you looking at me?
Because I'm talking to a guy who can do some things that I don't understand.
Like German.
Like I think it's a good time to go to the monster round.
Absolutely,
Unless,
let's do it.
do you have any questions for Thomas Gansch before we do?
I'm struggling with coming up with the wording, so do the monster round. We can always come back in.
Sure. What did you say? Nope. Nope.
Hitler?
Nope. Do you know what the monster round is?
It's been a while since I watched your videos.
So it's a series of rapid-fire questions that are intended to get at the core of your being.
Fuck, man.
Buckle up.
This is getting serious here.
What's your favorite food? It's not that big of a deal. I've kind of oversold the monster round.
All of it.
What is the most played song on your phone right now?
Probably The Groove Merchant, Thad Jones Melodies.
What's the first thing you do in the morning?
I shut off the alarm and give it another 10 minutes.
Favorite place to practice trumpet?
Great hall at night.
Favorite musician to listen to?
Shirley Horn.
The best single piece of advice you've ever received?
Shut up and play.
The number one thing you do to avoid boredom on long flights?
Getting drunk, popping pills, sleeping it off.
Who is your biggest non-musician influence or role model?
Steven Spielberg.
Your favorite brass ensemble in history?
Oh.
Not Minato.
The brass, the wind band of the Czech army in Prague. It's called the Central Band, I think. Das Zentralorchester der Tschechischen Volksarmee is the craziest sound. It's 80 people playing together in a very specific feel. It's like, that's my ideal sound of a brass band. And I grew up with it. My father listened to the records, and I still do. They play marches and like nobody else. You know, it's so great. I love it.
I'm going to listen to that after this. This is from Joel Baruti. Would you rather menstruate or go through menopause?
Menopause.
Where in the world would you most like to parachute?
Down here?
I don't understand the question. What is the first thing you would do as President of the United States?
Ooh. Yeah, get rid of all those atomic weapons.
I like that one. What's the menu for your last meal of your life? I guess.
It depends if I still got my teeth. I have to think that out.
You have your teeth. You have your teeth.
I have my teeth.
It's gonna be a sudden death. You'll be healthy.
Maybe
It'll be unexpected.
death by chocolate would be a good choice.
Who do you love more?
Probably as last meal, maybe something like Bill Murray had in Groundhog Day.
Yes.
What
When
does
he
he
didn't
eat?
care, when he didn't care, and like he said at that time, and he shoved just everything.
Oh yeah. That is a great movie.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Mnozil arrangement?
There are so many. There are so many. We are doing next June. We are doing like a best of show again, like as for like 6-7 months until we come out with a new show. And the sheer amount of things we can pick from is crazy. I forgot half of it. I mean, everything that Leonhard arranged is fantastic. He's a fantastic writer. But my favorite stuff is always it's the pieces we put together, all of us. And in this show we're playing tonight, we have the Fledermaus Overture.
Yes.
And that's the first time in 12 years that we prepared something together. And that's probably the best thing.
That's one of the,
So that's my favorite for now.
it's funny you say that. But Joel and I were just talking about how that's one of our favorite pieces of music of all time. It's so good. Such a great overture.
See? Another match.
Amazing. What do you enjoy more, practicing or performing?
Performing. If I have a good day.
Yeah. If you had the chance to play with any 3 deceased trumpet players, dead trumpet players, who would they be?
Okay, it would be a big band, and I would sit in the trumpet section, and I would play second next to Gozo. The other players would be Clark Terry. One more? Clifford Brown.
I'd pay to see that.
Me too.
Who's your favorite Italian Renaissance painter? Don't answer that.
Please don't make me answer that.
Don't answer that.
I'm
Name-
too stupid. I'm a trumpet player. Do you know who we're talking to?
Just a cappuccino.
Al
El
Pacino.
Cappuccino.
Al Pacino again.
Say hello to my little painter,
My little friend.
my little alfresco.
My name is Tony Montana.
It's a painting of a cockroach.
Hoo-ha!
Can't keep it together. Name one thing that America does better than Austria,
Oh,
and vice versa.
I always admired the quality of American athletes at Olympic Games or at World Cups, that they are able to prepare for the moment, and then they are going to shine, and they are going to get this trophy and bring it home. While on the other side, Austrians would, like in skiing, the Austrian athlete would win all year everything and then fuck it up at the Olympic Games. Sorry, I swear it again. I had to. It has more impact that way. You can beep it out, but if you beep it, at least have the decency of playing the beep with a trumpet.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Do an interview with
Oh, yeah.
Gould and have me standing by and beeping out all his swear words live. That would be a great interview. Dad! Dad! You dad! That would be funny.
Where do you consistently get the best crowd?
Consistently. The States are a very, very good crowd because you are used to being a good crowd, you know.
I'll take it as a
Some
compliment.
people, no, it's great. But usually it's everywhere where there is a great culture in brass music. If you have, like in England, in the Netherlands, in Switzerland, in Norway, Sweden, everywhere where they have a brass band tradition, you get a certain feel. But the American audience is great because they know what's coming. They want to be entertained.
Good.
And sometimes other audiences they don't know what role to play, you know.
Sure. Describe the history of the world in one sentence.
I have to swear again.
Do you think people will still play trumpets in 200 years?
Yes.
The most underrated trumpet player in history.
Benny Bailey should have a bigger name.
What's your worst habit?
Eating. Overeating. Constant overeating. Passionate overeating. Whilst knowing that I'm overeating, still overeating, while saying to myself, I will not overeat today. I will chew every bite 30 times, and then I'm going to be filled up very quick, and then I'm still overeating while I'm thinking that. And I'm not chewing 20 or 30 times, I'm chewing 5 times, thinking, today I'm going to chew 30 next times. And I'm going to have the sweets afterwards. And then I'm going to feel sorry for myself when I try to close the buttons of my trousers. It's just terrible.
Why did I do that?
Ah,
What's the meanest insult someone has ever given you?
Oh, somebody called me Eierschädel, which means egghead, on stage while playing, a famous guitar player. And he insulted me constantly while I was playing the theme of Stardust.
Whoa.
He insulted me like till I cried, and then I ran home from stage. But a few years later, I made him cry. And now we're even.
Let's end the monster
It's
round.
a beautiful story, isn't it?
You do it.
Don't, cameras are rolling. Carry out the cameras.
No, there was no violence. Everything was fine. I had him.
Good.
I had my revenge.
What do you want to be played at your funeral?
I love the idea of having a party funeral, so everybody. I would love to have a big band sitting there. You know, when I was younger, I always dreamed of like becoming really rich, and then I would hire the greatest musician on the planet just for me to play as a big band in my living room. So the getting rich thing won't happen anymore, but maybe everybody can donate, and then we can have a big band for the funeral. That would be great. And I'd like to have Thad Jones music played, Thad Jones arrangements, because they are the fattest. You can play a wrong note for like a week on the fourth trumpet until you discover that you played the wrong note all along, but it still sounded right. It's the greatest writing ever.
You know that's on camera, right? Has this been documented?
What?
Your wishes for your funeral.
No.
It's on camera now.
Yeah. Put it out there. Maybe I find somebody who pays for it.
All right. Thomas
Would be
Gansch.
great.
It's been a pleasure.
Oh,
Nice
man,
to
for me
finally
too.
meet you.
Nice to meet you.
That was fun.